When Rome fell, it didn't just disappear. It was inherited like a vast estate divided amongst three heirs who couldn't be more different. One was a church that Rome had once tried to destroy. Another was the eastern half of Rome itself, which never stopped calling itself Roman. And the third, a religion born in a desert hundreds of miles from the nearest Roman road. To understand how this happened, we need to see who else inherited Rome and what each heir took from the estate. The first heir was the Christian church. Rome persecuted it for centuries, then adopted it. When the Western Empire collapsed, the church survived and absorbed Rome's organizational DNA. Church dioceses mirrored Roman provinces. The Pope sat in Rome itself. And the second heir was the Byzantine Empire, the eastern half that simply continued. For another 1,000 years, its citizens called themselves Romans, governed by Roman law in a capital Constantine had built. The third heir is the surprise. Islam originated in Arabia, completely outside Roman borders. Yet within a century of its founding, it would conquer more former Roman territory than either of the other two heirs. It absorbed Roman administration, Roman architecture, and, most importantly, Roman intellectual traditions. But of these three heirs, Islam's inheritance is the most surprising because it started completely outside the empire. Muhammad died in 632. In Arabia, tribal loyalty was personal, bound to Muhammad as prophet and leader, not to an institution. His death should have shattered the movement. Instead, it unleashed one of history's most rapid expansions. A caliphate, the political religious state led by Muhammad's successors, mobilized Arab armies outward. Within just 4 years, Damascus fell. Damascus, a major Roman city, a jewel of Byzantine Syria. By 642, Egypt was gone. By the early 700s, Arab armies had swept across North Africa and into Spain. How did desert warriors conquer two empires so fast? The answer lies in a Bedouin tradition called Razzia, quick raids for plunder, not permanent occupation. Razzia was a normal part of desert life. Arab tribes had raided the edges of Byzantine and Persian territory for generations. But something had changed. The Byzantine and Sassanid Persian empires had just fought each other to exhaustion in a brutal war lasting from 602 to 628. Both empires were financially drained, their armies depleted, their border defenses hollowed out. So when Arab raiding parties pushed into this territory, they found the door wide open. What began as traditional raids became permanent conquest almost by accident. The empires were too weak to push them back. So what kind of state were these conquerors building? The answer doesn't fit any modern category. Modern thinking offers two boxes: theocracy, where religious leaders run the government, or secular state, where religion and government stay separate. The early Islamic caliphate fit neither box. A theocracy places a church above the state, a secular state keeps them apart. In the caliphate, religious and political authority weren't above or beside each other, they were the same thing. The caliph was simultaneously the political ruler and the spiritual leader of the community. No separation existed because no distinction existed. This fusion has no modern Western equivalent, which is why it's so often misunderstood. Their goals were more complicated than converting everyone to the new faith, but the deepest inheritance wasn't political, it was intellectual, and this is where Islam's role as Rome's heir becomes undeniable. Islam didn't just conquer Roman land, it absorbed Roman thought. As Arab rulers took control of former Byzantine territories, they encountered the vast libraries of Greek knowledge, and they didn't burn them, they translated them. Arab scholars in institutions like the House of Wisdom in Baghdad systematically translated Greek works into Arabic. Aristotle's Metaphysics and Physics, Galen's medical texts, Ptolemy's Almagest, Euclid's Geometry. They didn't just copy, they commented, corrected, and extended these works. Centuries later, when medieval European scholars wanted to read Aristotle, they couldn't find the Greek originals. They translated him from Arabic into Latin. Without Islamic scholars as the bridge, much of Aristotle might have been lost to the West entirely. So what does all this change about how we understand history? The standard story says Rome fell in 476 and Europe plunged into darkness. That story is wrong, or at best, radically incomplete. Rome's legacy didn't vanish. Three civilizations caught it. The Church preserved Rome's organizational structure and moral authority across Western Europe. Byzantium continued Rome's political and legal traditions for another 1,000 years in the East, and Islam, born outside the empire entirely, conquered Rome's richest provinces, adopted its administrative systems, and became the critical bridge that carried Greek philosophy, science, and medicine forward through the centuries. Understanding Islam as an heir to Rome reframes both stories. Islamic civilization wasn't just a desert religion, it was a Mediterranean civilization. And Rome's influence didn't end in 476, it echoed for centuries through all three heirs. The next time someone says Rome fell, ask them, fell into whose hands?